Hi guys, it's Dakota. Hope everybody's doing well. Welcome to the channel if you're new here, and if you are already subscribed, thank you. I appreciate it. I don't get paid for doing YouTube, but I just appreciate you being here. I will never get paid to do YouTube. I just enjoy doing it. It's sort of like a time for me to um, just not do any chores, not be working, on my house or working on my business or whatever. It's just sort of like a fun little thing that I enjoy doing. And if I can share some knowledge, hey, that's great. Okay, so T-Lite Candle Magic. One of the reasons I decided to talk about this, first of all, I make T-Lite intentional candles for the store, and they are infused with oils and herbs and blah 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 blah, some stuff. So I have people asking me about the tea light candles, etc. How long do they burn for is one of the questions that I get a lot. Well, I can't really answer that specifically because here's the thing. All right, tea lights I have seen and I know, and I'm sure you know, are different sizes. So, and different thicknesses. They just are. It just depends on who makes them. So, on average, if you just get, I'm just going to show you the back of this real quick, just like this, if you just get a basic tea light candle, that size has somewhere between 1 to maybe 3 hours, something like that. It's a guesstimate. It's just a guesstimate. One of the reasons it's a guesstimate is because if, like my candles, like I said, they have oils in them, they have herbs in them, and it just depends on, if the wind is blowing, if you've got your fan on and the flame is flickering, it will start to melt that wax a little bit quicker. If you have too many herbs in it, uh, it will light the herbs on fire, which creates, obviously, if they don't flame up, they're still smoldering, and that burns the wax, and then the wax ends up drowning the flame. So that would be, that's something to think about. Oils can be very flammable. So if you're using an oil, too much oil, people want scented candles. But I mean, if you are putting in too much oil, it could create too hot of or too much of a flame. And then what that does is it melts your wax. And when you have a pool of wet wax, it extinguishes the flame. Now, for me, I love using candles in my Magick, not just because of the fire, but I, years ago, probably, let's see, probably 20 years ago, 19 years ago, something like that, 18 years ago, I did a dedication, solitary dedication, just myself out here in my woods, dedicated to each of the elements. I figured if I was dedicating to my practice, to my deity, initiating, uh, all of those things that were happening at the time, coven work, all of that stuff, I just felt like I didn't want to just work with the elements. And there's a process that some go through where we introduce ourselves to the elements, let them know that, so this is me, and when I call you, these are my expectations, or these are the boundaries, and all of those things, and they're very, very important. But for me, I felt like I wanted to dedicate to them because I'm going to be using them on a daily basis in my practice. Therefore, I wanted to make sure that I knew about the elements and like who they are, what they have to offer, and what they can take away. So I did a full-on dedication ritual to each of the elements, and it took me 4 weeks because I dedicated to air, fire, water, and earth. And I, after dedication, I, for a week, worked specifically with that element, trying as best as I could to keep any other elements out of the picture. If they happen to be part of, then so be it. But I think you get my point, like just with the element. And that was extremely powerful for me. So I actually love elemental magic as well. Although I don't do it as often, like just focusing on elemental magic. And I really should, come to think of it. I really should. All right. So with candle magic, I feel like you are working with all of the elements. You know, a candle, let's just say this is a taper or your little 4-inch chime candles, or any candle for that matter. The candle itself, the wax, represents earth. It's solid. It is the foundation. It is the thing that holds the wick. And if you are dressing it with an oil or herbs or whatever, it is holding that as well. It is the foundation of your base. It's your base. Then you have your flame. And the flame obviously is fire. So that would be the element of fire within earth. And then you have the pool of wax that we just got on talking about. That is liquid. And so that becomes your water. And then, of course, you're going to have the smoke that comes from your flame. And so now we have the element of air. So I have had people, like in groups and different forums and different classes and courses that I've taken, tell me, well, you only work with fire and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, no, I don't. I don't always work with fire. Do you work with candles? Well, yeah, I work with candles. Well, then you work with all 4 elements, just like I work with all 4 elements. And so, because working with a candle for me is working with all of the elements. So my tea lights for me represent the 4 elements. And like I said, I'm adding to them. I'm adding herbs. I'm adding oil. I'm adding some energy. All of my intentional oils, anything that I make for the store is Reiki. I just Reiki charge it. I just give it a good dose of Reiki energy. I don't do anything else that would be considered magical. Like I don't bless my candles. I don't consecrate the candles. I don't do anything like that other than dressing them for a particular intention, because it's up to the person. It's up to you if you want to consecrate it, if you want to, you're going to add your, even if it was a candle for love, you're still going to want to put your own intention. What do you mean love? I mean, there's love of a lot of things, right? We love our pets. We love our significance. We love our friends. We love our house. We love, whatever. So we're going to put the intention into that. And I'm not going to do that for you. I'm not going to bless it. But I just give it a dose of good old Reiki energy, which is just, for the good of all, whatever. I just give it Reiki energy, period. That's all I do. I Reiki everything. Yeah, so that's what I do. Now, so on the burn time on my candles, then it would depend, right? Because it depends on the wax that you use. It depends, again, on your oil that you use, the herbs that you use, being careful with that. Now, for me, candles also represent a type of alchemy. And what I mean by that is, alchemy is a type of transformation. I'm not going to go into the whole definition of alchemy, but it is a type of transformation. So when we use a candle in a dark room, it transforms the darkness into light. And when we snuff the candle out, the light becomes the darkness. So it is this type of transformation, or this type of, I'm sorry, this type of alchemy, which is a type of transformation. That's what I'm trying to say. So I love that. I love that part of candle magic, you know, so it's not just working with the elements. And, you know, if you work with whoever, if you're working with deity, if you work with spirit, ancestor, divine source, whatever you like to call it, or just the energies, you know, the energies of, you know, air, fire, water, earth, you know, whatever it is that you like to put your 2 cents into your work, um, you're asking for a transformation in your magic. That's what you're doing. You know, it is magic is really a type of transformation because, you know, if I'm oh, I love my garden. This is about love, but it's about loving my garden for a bountiful uh, harvest. You know, come spring, then you're going to put that energy into it, and you'll say the words, and you might call on, you know, the fae or whoever you like to work with in your garden. So so there you go, and hopefully that manifests for you, and you would have this beautiful, bountiful garden come spring, summertime, right? Okay, so let me see. I'm looking at my notes. Um, okay, so people want to know, since I make the tea lights, is that what you use? Well, yeah, it is what I use. All the time? No, absolutely not. I use all the candles, all the candles. I will use my tea lights. I will use the chime candles. That's kind of a go-to for me, the little 4-inch ritual chime candles. That is a go-to. One of the reasons I like those is they have about a 4-hour burn, give or take, right? Because it depends on your oils, if you're dressing it, if you've got herbs, if you've got any kind of airflow, like if the ceiling fan is going. If you've seen me at the Witch Cottage, I'm in the workshop today. Um, but you've seen my candles doing this because I have the ceiling fan on, which is right above my head, and in the summer, so it blows my candles. When that happens, it melts the candle even faster, or the candle might get a dip in one side, and then your wax flows out and it drips down the candle, and it creates this thing that you can scry, and you can look at, and you can you know, it has some crazy fun designs in it and stuff. I like to do that. In fact, the fall equinox or autumn equinox video that I did, at the end, when it was all done, and I went to do my cleanup. Usually I'll let my work sit until I feel like the universe says time to clean up. The wax had melted over the mandarin, and I used a mandarin orange, and I had used a red candle, and when it melted, when I went back to clean up, I looked at it and I went, oh, and I have a picture. Um, it I am not kidding you. I'm not. Maybe I'll post a picture. It looks like Ganesha. And you all know I work with Ganesha as I road opener and obstacle remover and all of that in all of my work. And I work with him to help do that. And it looks like him. It was fun. It's so bizarre. Yeah, it was really cool. Okay, so anyway, where am I? Oh, so I use all the candles. The one I would say that the least candle probably that the candle that I work with the least for magical purposes would probably be a taper, which would be your 6-inch candles. They're a little bit thicker, they're a little bit taller. I do work with them, don't get me wrong, I do work with them. They're great for if you've got a lot of intentional stuff that you need to carve into that candle or whatever. They're good, but the burn time on those is a little bit longer, and if you're going to just let it burn down, you need to stay where you know where you can where it's safe, where it's safe. So a lot of times, if I'm using those, I will burn it in a bucket that's a little, or a bucket. I've used a bucket before actually, but I have my medium cauldron. Um, I I put it in there, you know, I melt the bottom and stick it in there and burn it, and that way, it's a little bit safer. I can put that in my, you know, in your sink or whatever as well. That way, if it tips, if it drips, if whatever, it's just dripping right into your cauldron or your safe area, your bucket, something that is not going to break like glass or burn up like you just put it in a candle holder and you leave the room. You know what I mean? We don't do that. So I don't use the tapers as often. I do use a 7-day candle. Yes, I do often. And I still dress it. I still inscribe on it. Yeah, I do all the things. I like that. One of the things, let me just real quickly talk about this. I know I'm running out of time. I'm just talking so much. One of one of the things that I get really frustrated with is people that ask about, I was burning a 7-day candle. I was trying to manifest, I don't know. Okay, let's go back to the love thing. Trying to manifest love, whatever it was, and the candle, the glass exploded or the glass cracked. Oh my gosh. Oh, you know, oh, what does that mean? And, you know, why do we always assume that when something like that happens, we always assume the worst, right? Like, oh, evil spirits, or oh, that was bad juju, or oh, you know, whatever. It doesn't necessarily mean that at all. In fact, it could mean that the manufacturer that made those glass jars did a cruddy job, and maybe there were some air bubbles in it, and the glass got too hot from the wick, and it cracked it, or it exploded because it was just cheap thin glass. I've had it happen. um, and nothing came and got me. No spooky things. You know, nothing happened. The other thing is, think about this. If especially think about this, especially if you are doing a releasing of something and it cracks or it explodes or whatever, this maybe the spell is done. It's gone. Poof, do it's done. It doesn't mean anything. Like, oh, did that work? Oh, I'm scared. I mean, of what? You know, you might be scared of buying your candle using a cheap glass. So when I use my 7 days, I still put them in, those go in the bucket. I usually don't put those in my cauldron, but they go into the bucket because they have cracked and they have, you know, not like exploded into pieces, but exploded. They have. And nothing bad ever came of it. If the magic didn't work, if the intention didn't work, okay, maybe that was the wrong choice of candle. Maybe it was the wrong choice of herb. Maybe it was the wrong words that I said. Maybe it wasn't meant for me to do that particular spell. Maybe the universe broke the candle to protect me from the outcome of that spell, which would not have been for my highest good, even though I thought it would be. Maybe it wasn't. All kinds of reasons why your glass candle is going to break. Quit getting frustrated and scared with that. You know, it just, quit thinking negatively. Gosh, it just, oh, sorry, it just frustrates. I'm on a rant, frustrates me. Okay, so I use, how and why do I use the T-Lite candles? Well, I use them individually. You know, I'll light a T-Lite candle when I'm looking for, when it is not an intention that is super important, something that really needs uh, a thing. You know what I mean? If I'm just doing like I've used a tea light candle as a blessing for lighting that candle for a friend who maybe, you know, they're having the baby, and I just, you know, I'm just sending good vibes out. And so I'll use a tea light candle for something like that, something that isn't extreme, you know, and because it does only have a 1 to 2 hour burn time. So I use it for that. The other thing, though, that I love to use the T-Lite candles for is if I have, so I'm using a Sharpie here as my candle because I'm over here at my workshop and all of my supplies, magical supplies, are at my cottage. Um, the workshop is specifically my work area. This is where I make my candles and my T-Lite candles, lots of T-Lite wax and holders and stuff. All my herbs are here. But my magical stuff is at the cottage or at my house. So anyway, I don't have any candles here. Okay, so say this is my candle, my chime candle, whatever it is that I'm using as my focus. This is my intentional candle. I might set my tea lights around it as assistants to help with, to help with that energy. So I do use them for that purpose as well, and it works really good. Almost like gridding your candle with other, instead of using stones, which I do, but instead of using stones, using the energy of your tea light, because that is all the elements. That is all the elements, and you can dress these as well. So it's a double whammy. I like it. I get really excited talking about fire magic. I'm sorry. All right. So what I like to do, this is how I do. This is how I do. All right. I will take the candle, my tea light candle. How do you dress a tea light? I take my candle, which is inside here. This one is already done. So I haven't used it because I'm going to show you. So anyway, what I do is you can use a magic marker is what I use, or Sharpies, whatever they're called nowadays. And you can write your intention on the rim of the candle, on the bottom of the candle, or you can put your sigil on the bottom. You can also, so I like to do that. You can also get your little poker, whatever you use. Actually, that was my poker. I use this. I have a bunch of these from, various Halloween shopping ventures. It's a pin. They don't work very well, but they work good for this. Then I'm going to put this one down. Okay, so then you can carve your intention into the wax of the candle. So carve it right into there. Or if you want, you can just write out your intention on a piece of paper, fold it up, set your candle on top of it. All right. Oh, but I want to add oils and herbs, and the tea light's already done. Okay. Get your poker, whatever it is you like to poke with. This is just a wood shish kebab stick. And you can just put some holes in it. Know what I mean? Like just put some holes in it. I'll do this one. I just kind of twist it. I'm sorry, the camera's kind of high. And, well, you can't see because it's white. But anyway, there's a hole right next to the wick. Just put some little holes in it. Take your oil, just a tiny little smidgen of a drop, like 1 or 2 drops in your holes. Take your herbs and just put a few on top, or you can put your herbs around the base of your candle. Or you can take the little paper that you wrote your intention on, that you folded up, put a couple of dabs of oil on your intention paper, lay a bed of herbs down. Let me move this camera. I got a paper plate today. All right. So take your herbs. Let's just open it up. This is okay. This is the candle I'm gonna show you. It's for divination, and what I have pulled blue cornflower, which I like to use when I'm doing divination. It sort of helps with you know, your psychic abilities or, you know, intuition, I feel. And so I like that. So I just put a pile of the herb down, and then I would take my intention, which I don't, let's just do this. Pretend, sorry, I just peeled this off my notebook. Pretend like this is a piece of paper and I've written my intention. I've dropped oils on it. Maybe I fold it, lay that on top of that or under it, whatever you want to do. Take my candle, place it right on top of it. You got to make sure that it sits good. And light your candle and boom, there you go. Or extend it. Go ahead and write your intention on this. Draw your sigil if you want. Poke your holes in. Add more oils there. Add a few little, you know, bits and pieces of herbs on there. Now see, if you put this big flower on there and it catches on fire, then you're going to have this fire on top of your candle, and that will, it could be dangerous, but it could also start to melt your wax. You'll have a pool of, you know, melted liquid, and it'll just drown out your flame, and then your candle will be done. So, yeah, so that's that. Now, I do want to show you something. I also have some cinnamon on this. This has herbs inside of it, but it has dandelion inside of it, and I think I used mugwort oil. I'm not sure, but do you see how that wick is off-centered? Can you see? It's over to the side. It should be right here. So when I poured the wax, it moved the little weight thing on the bottom of the wick, and when it dried crooked. So I haven't used this one because what will happen is it's not going to burn, in my opinion, properly. But I'm still going to use it. But I just wanted to show you that is one of the things that can happen. All right, let's see. Looking at my thing. Color of the candle, does it matter? Does it matter to you? I mean, you know, if I'm doing something and I'm using purple for divination, and if I didn't have purple, but I'm getting ready to do, you know, maybe a tarot or do whatever communication or whatever I'm doing, and I don't have purple, and I don't have, but I have white. That's the candle. That's the candle that I'm going to use. You can use whatever color you feel drawn to, because it still boils down to our intention and what we want. And so I would make sure, you know, would it help if I had purple? Sure it would, but I don't have purple, so all I have is white. So I'm going to make sure that this thing is completely covered with my intention, what I want it for. I'm going to make sure that my intention that I write out is going to have the exact reason and purpose why I'm using this. I might even say why I'm using white. I will have put the oils in it, and I will have put the herbs on top. Now, when I told you that this one has the dandelion in it, this is not this was not a good example. So this is how I do. All right. I start with these little tins, right? And then I melt the wax. I melt my wax, color my wax, dye my wax, sit my wicks in, and then pour my wax. Well, like I said, as it starts to dry, I drop herbs in, and I put them in too early, and they just sunk to the very bottom. So they're down at the very bottom of this candle. Does that matter? Not to me. So I did add some cinnamon to kind of encourage it, I guess, if you will, to work a little faster and stronger. So yeah, if you go to the store even and you buy tea lights, you want to make sure that they don't pull out. Okay? But if they do pull out, here's the other thing that you can do. And I love this. I love this. So sometimes when I'm making intentions for myself, I do this. I pour just a little bit of my melted wax in here. I take my intention that's here. Plus, before you even pour your wax, you can write on the inside of your cup as well. Fill it about halfway. Of course, it's already got the oils in it. I take my intention, stick that right on top of the wax that's already melted, just the half, and then pour the rest of your wax in. And once the wax is in there, your intention is down in there. It's down inside your candle. So that makes a really excellent candle magic for tea lights. You can grid them, of course, if you want, with stones or whatever. One of the things that's really fun to do is you can take, if you have like a little bowl, fill it with water, whether it's your moon charged water or you want something for protection, so you're going to use either your black salt or just, salt water. Ocean water is a great thing to use. And you're going to take your, let me use this because it shows it better on the camera. So you're going to take, so fill it up with some water, not all the way to the top of the bowl, but just a little bit. Add stones if you want to the bottom of your water. Crystals, obsidian, whatever stone. Make sure you know whatever stone is compatible with water, though, because you don't want to use selenite. Any stone that is not compatible with water, you don't want to use. So let's just say we have our bowl of water and we put some salt in there because we're doing a protection. So we put some salt in there. Maybe we added some quartz or some black obsidian or black onyx, whatever. And then you're going to take your candle, which has already been dressed. It's already got your intentions. Your intention is inside the candle. It's got the oils and the herbs in there. And you're going to float that, just set it right on top of your jar of water, your bowl of water. And now you have this floating tea light. Now some, depends on the candle, some don't float, but I've never found one that didn't float. Yeah, and just put that in your water and light that, and that creates this really, really powerful spell, work for spell. So yeah, so people always think tea light, man, they got to have the big, juicy, spicy, giant candles. You do if that's what you need, you do. But I just wanted to let you know today the power of a tea light candle is just as huge, honestly, because of all the things that you can do to help increase its power. It is representative of all the four elements, including, divine, whatever you like to call that, source, which would be your fifth, your pentagram, so that would be your fifth. And again, just write all over it. Write all over it. Add your oil. Add your intention. There it is on the bottom. Add stones if you want. Grid around it. A lot of things that you can do with a tea light that you can't do a whole lot with other candles. You can, but we'll talk about that another day. So that's what I wanted to talk about today. I hope you enjoyed it. I'm sorry that it wasn't set up great. One of the reasons is because I am over here at the workshop as opposed to the witch cottage. Um, those of you that know, and if you don't know, you'll have to watch some of the videos. But I have a lot of places that I do videos. My stuff is spread out all over the country, I swear. All right, so that's what I had for you today. I hope that you enjoyed it. If you did, give a like. You know, I sound like one of those. Okay, anyway, have a great week. Going out to my circle sisters, I'm just letting you know, like, I am so excited for Sunday. That is our Samhain ritual. YouTubers, love you guys, and hopefully we'll see you next week, and I'll tell you what I can about our ritual, if I can. All right? Okay, so be kind, be nice, and I'll see you soon. Love you guys. Bye.